Hey, 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 what are you doing?
Mr. Drake, wake with
My,
Drake.
my
What's
brother,
happening?
Robbie Lochner. Hey, it's another rendition of the Hangout Live, man. And this is
Yeah.
one I can honestly say I've been looking forward to for, I don't know, 30 years.
Ah!
You know how it is, my brother. So, all right, real quick here, let's thank the sponsor, which is Backbeat Music and Media Jaw. Thank you guys for keeping us going. And then I think we get into this right now, man. We've got the one, the only, Miss Tawny Kitaen with us tonight, Robbie. And this is going to be one for the men and women.
Oh no, it's gonna be one for the women
Ooh,
too. A lot of women,
absolutely.
a lot of women
Hell
wanted to be her in the day.
yeah. Hell yeah. So, all right, let's just bring her on, dude. Let's just get rolling. What's up,
Yeah.
Tawny?
Hi, guys.
How
Hey,
are
hey.
you?
Hi, ladies, because it's one for us too.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
So,
right.
welcome to the Hangout Live. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I've got a quick, weird story to say before we get started. I was talking to a place today up in Oregon about where my hemp farm is, and the gal who answered the phone, her name was Tawny. And I said, "Your name's Tawny. That's pretty bizarre." And then I told her about the show, and she said, "Actually, I was named after Tawny Kitaen. My dad was a huge Tawny fanatic, and I thought that was kind of bizarre being today."
Cool.
Cool.
She can't hear you.
I don't know why we're having technical issues with her hearing us.
it. I heard the part where I did hear the part, which I am so honored that her folks named her after me, Tawny Kitaen, which
Hmm.
is so cool. That is so cool. What did she say when you told her you were going to interview me? Was she
She
like,
asked,
I'm busy, I can't listen?
no, she was like, "Can I be on the show?" Can I be on the show? I'm
Oh,
sorry. We only have room
Tawny,
for one Tawny.
come
So,
in.
Tawny, we we followed your career over the years. Obviously, we've been blessed to see where you've come from and how you've come from. But let's take them back to where it began, back in San Diego, back on August 5th, 1961, where little Miss Kitaen comes into the world.
Yes.
Did we have to give the last four digits?
Yeah, I know. It's like, whoa, ow.
Five.
I think you
You're
should because you're
brilliant.
still looking
The
smoking.
19.
So,
Thank you. You know what
absolutely.
happens? Can I tell you this? Like,
Sure.
first of all, I don't wear any makeup. I am a surfer chick going back to 1982
Okay.
when I was born. That was a faux pas, accidentally written on your paper there. No, back in
Right.
1961. So I've been a surfer chick my entire life. So I am used to. I surfed. I go into the ocean. I get out. I fling my hair around. I have freckles. And I went to put on makeup when I was like in ninth grade, and I looked horrible, absolutely horrible. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to wear makeup. Well, that's not a good thing to do as a girl because as you get older, you need to learn how to put on makeup yourself. And then to make matters even worse, when I did get older, I had someone putting my makeup on for me. So I never, my entire 50 something years of life, I've never known how to put on makeup. Whenever I put on mascara, my nose, I am allergic to mascara. I knew I was doing your show, so I put on some mascara for you guys. So get a close up,
Oh, zoom in
put
on
on some
that.
mascara, and now I'm sitting here, and my whole face is like running down, like I'm gonna be like this the entire time. So excuse me for that. But it's true. I wanted to look presentable to you guys. So it's your fault that I put on mascara today.
I will take that. Robbie, will you take that?
Yeah, it's all good.
We're good with that. You look great. I mean,
Okay. It's like being allergic to, a dog or cat or whatever. For me, it is truly. It's just. I mean, listen, the girls that are listening, I'm sure a lot of you relate to the fact that mascara you can be allergic to. So yeah, that's so. Being a surfer chick, that's what happens.
wow. Well,
Yeah,
see. So
fascinating.
speaking of surfer chicks, man, I mean,
Yeah.
you got hooked young into surfing. Was it like a passion or what?
Well, I've been born and raised in San Diego.
Right.
And then living at the beach. Yeah, I mean, I was well. I lived in Huntington Beach. Are you guys familiar with the coast of California?
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
So Orange County, I've lived in my entire life. So it's Orange County down to San Diego. So Huntington Beach, which is the surfing capital of the world, next to places in Hawaii and um, oh God, just other incredible places. But it's really big there. So yeah, I was surfing at the age of 8 years old,
Wow.
8, and then
Wow.
old enough to drive. My girlfriends and I. Oh my God, if my daughters ever did this, I would just have to smack them. We would put our boards up on the top of my car in our bikinis, put on our 6-inch high heel shoes, and go out and check the waves. But
Yeah.
really, what we were doing is we were looking for the dudes. We were checking, wanting to see which surfer dude was out there. I mean, that's really why a girl like myself got into surfing because the guys were so cute.
Right.
So yeah, so yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Robin.
Yeah, yeah. Robin lived in La Jolla, which is a big surfing bird rock right there, and yeah, he surfed. He was a surfer.
He looks like a surfer.
He does look like a surfer, right? He was my
Big surfer,
perfect
but
first boyfriend. My perfect first boyfriend. He was a gorgeous combination of a surfer and a rock star, meld into one. And
yeah.
and that's, I mean, let's face it, we're attracted physically at first, and then the personalities get a second. But that's what attracted me to him, was his surfer rock look. I did not
Mm.
know at the time that rock was going to play such an important part of my life, an extremely important part of my life. I thought, it just was kind of cool that he was, a rocker.
So
So were you?
he was playing music in high school and stuff. You guys met in high school, or when did you meet?
We met at a high school dance.
Oh wow.
So it was literally, when I tell you, I saw him from across the room, and then he turned around and looked at me. And as soon as we locked eyes, the music stopped, everything stopped, and we just walked to each other like magnets, and stayed like that until I can almost say till the day he died, but it was 2 weeks before he died, because I was lucky enough to spend the last 6 months of his life with him while he was laid up in the rest home. I Yeah, and I was on my way up there, and found out that he had checked himself out with his
Mm.
roadie, and went and had given himself his last dose of heroin and killed himself.
Mm.
So
Wow. Tragic.
yeah, all these years later, that happened in 2002, 2001, I think it was.
Yeah.
It's like yesterday. But
Mm.
I loved it. He would make me bring him Mexican food because when we used to play those gigs where, we wouldn't make any money. We were young. He was 16. He was 17. Friday and Saturday nights, just playing little parties, and we'd get like maybe $50 and we'd split it amongst the band. Rob and I would always go get a drive-through Mexican food. That was his favorite. That was still my favorite. So when I would go up to see him, he'd have me bring him up Mexican food and peppermint schnapps.
So was he playing a lot of house parties? And was he playing a lot of house parties and stuff? Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, they were. And they were called Phenomenon at that point.
Okay.
Yeah. Which
anybody else in that band that we would know that was in Ratt later or anything like that? Or
I think Warren was just Warren Martinez. D. Martinez. He was, a couple years younger than the rest of us. Us girls, we used to have to babysit him, and or tell his mom that we would watch him if she'd let him come to one of the house parties. So I'd have to keep my eye on Warren. Yeah, he was just he was like a little puppy, and he was like, I want to play in the band. We're like, you're 10. You can't. And then he turns out to, be one of the greatest guitar players ever. Who would have ever known? That guy is phenomenal. It gives me such a Steve Vai vibe.
Yeah.
Warren does. But yeah, so he played eventually, and I think Bobby Blotzer. And they had a different singer. So, yeah.
Interesting.
It was Rob's band, obviously.
Yeah, that really must have been pretty magical time, because that whole time period, the way everything was back in those days, and then just, before everything really blew up. I mean, pretty special, right?
It was pretty special. It was pretty special looking back on it because it was so innocent.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we'll get into it in the interview later, but when you look at that time and then you look at the heroin days, I mean, it's so sad. But you look back at the time that I'm talking about, of us driving around in Rob's VW bus, half broken down, with his orange Marshall stacks in the back, and all the band's equipment, and me, the Yoko Ono that I guess I've always
oh yeah, Yoko, woo! Great.
Stuffed into the band. The band. It was such a sweet, innocent times.
And California was so different back then too. The whole vibe of it. I mean, I grew up in Arizona, but I would come out here every once in a while, and it was just, they had that. I mean, especially Robin had that California look, the blonde hair, chiseled. He's just tall, just had the whole thing, like, wow, and then ends up in one of the biggest rock bands in the world, eventually. So pretty cool.
You know what? He really, and the charisma. I mean, his charisma could outshine. I mean, he had, it's not, you can't buy charisma, as you guys know. You can't try to build upon it. You can't create it. It's either in you. You've either got it or you don't. And Rob he was just filled to the brim with charisma. Believe me, trust me, I was the girl that had to keep all the other girls away from him constantly. Yeah. And sometimes it didn't work. Sometimes that job didn't work. Sometimes I couldn't keep the girls away from him. But we were young, you know? I mean, come on. We started dating when we were 17, 18, 19, 20. I mean, he's just thinking he wants to be a rock star. I'm not at a gig one night. You know, boys will be boys.
Right. Absolutely.
So the story goes that you moved to California. I mean, sorry, not California, Los Angeles or Hollywood with him, but that's not true.
No, yeah, that's not true. I broke up with him because boys will be boys.
Uh-huh.
So what brought you into LA?
What's that?
So what actually brought you to LA?
Rob and I were I had broken up with him for the umpteenth time. And a girlfriend of mine was dating the sound guy for Van Halen. And she said, they're, playing at the San Diego Sports Arena tonight. Do you want to come with me? I was like, sure. It's Van Halen.
Absolutely.
No. I mean, yeah, of course. So I went and stood on the lighting sound stage department where you see for any of you out there in radio TV land, it's where where you see that little square cut out in the seats in the back out on the floor. And we watched the show from there. And Pete Angelis was the lighting director at the time. And we started talking and we started dating. He lived up in LA and he was touring all the time with Van Halen. So he said, why don't you skip San Diego and come on up to LA and live with me? I said, okay. And I left my worries behind. I packed up and I moved to Beverly.
Oh, yeah. Hills, that is. Swimming pool, movie stars.
Hollywood.
I think I'm having this OC conversation and I'm not there. So this must be an OC kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
more. You're talking LA County. I'm in OC County. She's in OC County too, but
right.
That was LA County.
And
so you moved up there, and then you were staying at his place, and he's on the road most of the time.
Well, it was our place.
Okay.
Yeah, well, because we then moved into a really nice house up in Laurel Canyon.
Oh, nice.
And then it got so lonely staying at home. I decided, you know what? Can I go on the road with you guys? Is that possible? And I don't know if you guys know this. I'm sure you do. With all the guitars in the back, I know that you know this information. With all your beautiful Les Pauls and Gibsons in the back behind you. When the band has their bus, none of the crew stays on the bus with them. The crew has their own bus. The band has their own bus. Sometimes even as bands get bigger, each band member has their own bus, depending on the egos and everything. Right. But Pete was so close with the band that he was on the band bus. So when I flew out there to travel with Pete, I didn't know I was going to be touring with Eddie Van Halen, with Alex Van Halen,
didn't know that.
with Michael Anthony, and with David Lee Roth.
Wow.
In a 6x6, not even that big. Yeah. I mean, the smallest, my kitchen is bigger than a tour bus that I have right now. And, it's 14 hours from one place to another. And I was the only girl on that bus. It was incredible. So I learned a lot about really famous rock stars and what they do. Yeah. And what it's like to be a major rock star and to it was phenomenal. I had the time of my life.
And they were the biggest band in the world, hands down. That time. They were huge.
Robbie, you're 100% right. They were so big that we most of the time couldn't go out the front door. We had to go through the kitchen, You know, I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of screaming fans out there, mostly for David, because the girls would just go wild for him. And,
Uh-huh.
the other fans that were out there were to see Eddie, but they
Yeah.
weren't screaming and swinging their underwear around in circles. Here, Eddie, sign my briefs. They weren't doing that
Right.
for him. So yeah, I learned. It was at that time, you guys. It was like touring with the Beatles.
Yeah.
I can
Oh,
And
imagine.
yeah.
we actually opened for the Stones one time, and
Oh, wow.
we were a huge band, and the Stones treated us like we were an up and coming garage band. So
Wow.
I saw what it did to David. David was not happy about being treated like that from the Stones, but it was interesting.
Wow.
Wow.
They wouldn't let us. The Stones made us sit in this little, like a school, an outdoor school shed or something, thing that they have for extending classes when they're building. They have that extra school.
Those
So
portable. Yeah.
they made us sit, yeah, exactly. And they made us sit in that, and they wouldn't let us out while the Stones were walking or had anything to do with backstage areas. They made us sit. So I remember David just like hanging onto the windowsill, looking out the window, going, "There's Mick. Where's Keith? Where's Keith? Where's Mick? Where's that?" And
Wow.
I was just like, I wanted to die laughing because David was always the biggest thing in the room. And now here he is being put into this playpen where he's
Wow.
not allowed to leave. Yeah, that was an incredible time.
That's an amazing story.
I've
Wow.
told that story before. I completely forgot about it until right now.
Now, how did Eddie handle it? He seems like he's super nice. I mean, I don't know, but I've never met him. But he seemed like he was very humble about a lot of stuff. So he might have been just like whatever, But I don't know. How was he
Who
to
was that?
that? How was Eddie regarding those stones? That whole thing.
Exactly the way you described them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Eddie was like, if this is where we have to be, dude, this is where we have to be. You
Hmm.
know? I mean, as long as Eddie had his guitar, which he always did, as long as Eddie had his guitar and he didn't care if it was hooked up to 8,000 Marshall stacks or to nothing. If he had a pick in his mouth and he was just able to just play away at his strings, he sit him in a corner. He could, and turn him around and make him face it. He could care less. No ego in that man at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool is that? How cool is
Well,
that?
listen, knowing all the rock stars that I know and knowing them pretty well, how cool is that? That's really cool.
Right.
Really.
You don't get that kind of humble attitude in the business that we all circle very often.
No, I'm trying to think of somebody. I mean, no offense to anybody who's still out there, gigging away, but I really can't, to that level and to that extreme, right?
Yeah.
To the level of humbleness and the extreme of godlike.
Right.
I can't think of another rock star alive like that.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, he was he was the bar that was set, and really, in my opinion, the most influential guitar player of all time. Of
All
all
time.
time. I mean,
Of all
nobody
time.
influenced more people than he did. He influenced the whole generation that followed him, and then, he single-handedly changed music, in my opinion.
You know, since, like, if we looked at a graph and we saw, okay, this is when Eddie hit the scene, and you look at all the guitar players since, there isn't a guitar player alive that doesn't have that hasn't digested Eddie in some way and have it come out in how they play. There just isn't, and you can't. You know, I mean, look at, there's Jimmy Page, there's some incredible guitar players, and Page moved a generation for sure, but Eddie moved generations.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I talk, I talk about Steve Vai, or I talk about Warren, or I don't care who we talk about. You cannot tell me that there isn't at least a few minutes set in their playing where they're not totally ripping off Eddie.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think one of the cornerstones of letting the audience know that they are as good as they want you to know that they are is they'll give you a little bit of Eddie's traveling up the old guitar, the neck.
Fretboard.
Right.
Yeah, just to
Fretboard.
let you know. I got
Right.
it. Yeah.
I got this. Yep.
So how long did the Van Halen thing last for you? How long did that go?
That lasted about 3.5 years.
Wow.
David and Pete and I became the three amigos, and when we weren't touring, we were traveling. So
wow.
David always liked to go to exotic, beautiful locations all over the world, and unfortunately, I had to go too.
Right.
For you.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
so some of the places you guys would go, where would you go?
Oh, he loved the Caribbean. So we'd go from St. Lucia, St. Mart's, Bora Bora, you name it, just anywhere where there was white sand. And I remember one time he'd always have a different girl on every port. And who, David Lee Roth? No,
Right.
not possible. So the girl we were in St. Luthra, and the girl that he was with really liked my bathing suit. So there's nobody on the beach. Dave's with his girl down the stretch, and Pete and I are at the other end. All of a sudden, here comes David in the sand walking up, and he goes, "Okay, how much do you want for your bathing suit?" I went, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, the girl, she really likes your bathing suit, so I told her I'd give it to her." I go, "But David, it's not yours to give to her. It's my bathing suit." And he's like, "I know it's your bathing suit. Let me buy it from you." Well, I ended up negotiating $2,000 out of him for that bathing suit back in the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah. And he paid up.
And how much did you buy it for?
Like $60.
Right?
Right. Wow.
So you had to drop it right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you do? That's what I was expecting to hear next. Did you give it to him then, or did you at least go to the?
No,
or,
I think I went back into. I went back into our little bungalow and changed into my other bikini. I know. Pete was not going to let me get naked right there on the.
Right, Pete, good
beach.
man.
Yeah.
Pete.
So was David Lee Roth noticed everywhere you went though at that point, like going all these exotic places? Would people recognize him, or not as much in some of the touristy places?
You know what? That's a really, really good question. He was recognized he loved Club Meds. He absolutely loved Club Meds. With all the amount of money in the world that he had, we could have been staying at Four Seasons everywhere. He wanted to go to the Club Meds because there were tons of good-looking single girls working at Club Meds. So that was his thing. So Dave, that was always Dave's motive. Gorgeous girls, always his motive. So when we would go to places like that, because there were like a lot of families, older families,
Right.
he wouldn't get bothered as much, you know. And plus, when we went to different resorts, if the head, the manager or whatever would tell everyone to chill out, you know, and stay with Lee Roth, just let him have his time here and not get bothered. So that was really nice for him. He at least had solace somewhere, because he couldn't go anywhere in the States without being accosted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Brenda said he was just a gigolo.
He was, believe me, trust me. He
Just
lived
a
with us.
gigolo. So
All right,
3 years, that's a long time. So after that, now how did the Ratt thing come together with that? Oh, cute dog. What's your dog's name?
This is Steve.
Steve.
Steve. What's
This is
up,
Steve.
Steve?
Say hi. Hi, I'm
Hey,
a rescue.
Steve.
I'm a rescue.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So go ahead, say that again.
So at some point, you know, it was 3 years going on, but at some point you connected Ratt guys with Van Halen or something. Somehow that connected, so which got Ratt on, because Ratt was really part of the early part of the 80s. They were one of the first bands that started to break out. I mean, there was a few before them, but not many.
They Rob knew obviously who I'd left him for, and knew what he did and knew his position and everything. And Pete was starting to get a reputation for becoming more of the visual guy. He was, you know, directing all the videos. He was, you know, in line, and finally became the manager of Van Halen.
Oh, wow.
So Rob reached out to me and said, "Do you think it would be okay if Pete would come and watch us play at Gazzari's, and if you could give us some pointers, or, you know, tell us maybe something that we should do or not do?" And I said, "You know what? Absolutely. I will have Pete at Gazzari's, and he will come see you." And so Rob was lead singer at this time. Rob was, yeah. He wasn't
Really?
lead singer. Wait, was he on lead vocals? He wasn't lead vocals. I forgot he was doing lead vocals at the time, but he was doing a lot of singing. And Pete had told them that they needed to switch some things around and get Rob off of the mic so much, not because he couldn't sing, but he was a guitar player and he needed to be a guitar player. It wasn't a band with two singers. And
Right.
and Rob would always, you know, back down in San Diego, he sang a lot. And he also said that they needed to bring in another guitar player and just, I mean, change things up completely. And then Pete made a phone call at Atlantic Records for Ratt, and someone at Atlantic came and saw them, and that's how they got signed.
Wow.
So years
Badass.
later, Rob was very happy that I left Pete for Rob.
Right. So,
Yeah.
wow. So there was just a couple things with that. One, then you ended up on their album cover, the first album cover. Now, how did that come together then?
A couple of their album covers, which is really interesting, because little did I know that the guy who was shooting the album covers was who I later, years later, was who I chose to shoot all the Whitesnake stuff.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's just like if you did a line of like how my life started and who came into contact, who I came into contact, and how they later played a role in my life or I played a role in their life. I mean, we can all do it. You know, it's just
Right.
amazing how we meet this person turns us. So Neil Slozauer, Slows, one of the most famous rock photographers, shot the first album cover. Was that the one with my legs, or was that out of
Yes,
the?
you're kind of looking into the cellar.
Okay. Oh, that was the first one. Was out of the
Yeah,
cellar?
that was out of the cellar. I'm pretty sure you're looking. Yeah, because you're looking into the cellar, but it's your whole, all of you with the legs and
Right.
everything, but just looking down on all fours, kind of looking down into a cellar.
Right.
Right.
Okay. I remember doing that one. The one that I remember the most is the one of just my legs, and I had fishnet stockings on, and it just said Ratt, and I had red shoes and fishnet stockings, and I had Rob on one side and Stephen Piercy on the other side, and they each had a crate full of mice, and they were throwing them at my legs to get them to stick with their claws on my fishnets to look like rats.
I was wondering if those were
What?
real. So those were real.
Those were real, and I had to
Oh,
stand there. You couldn't see my face; you could only see my legs. And Slows, who is known for overshooting everything in the world. And I'm just like, no, stop! We've got to stop, Neil. Do we have the shot? We have to have the shot. They're mice, for God's sakes. You don't need them looking at the camera smiling. You have this shot. They'd fill crates back up with mice and go at it again and just throw handfuls of mice at me. It was horrifying.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy as hell. All right, so we're getting a ton of questions in from the audience here.
Okay.
And so Jennifer Berner wants to know, how did you get the part in the Whitesnake video? Here I go again.
well, we're working our way up to that.
How did I
Calm
get
down,
into?
Robbie. Calm down. Yes.
Let me. Jennifer, hang on. I told Jennifer I did not know my battery was going to go. So here I go again. Well, I was dating the lead singer of that band, and
Right.
it was the night before they were going to shoot. They already had a model set up for the shoot the next day, and David wanted to go to the director's house and go over the storyboards for the shoot the next day. And I walked into Marty Collner, his house, and Marty opened up the door and looked at me and went, "You're her." And I was like, "I'm who?" He's like, "You're her. I want you in the videos." And I was like, I had turned down so many bands because I had already done a bunch of movies, and television and everything. And so back in those days, TV, that was beneath us movie stars. Like, we're not going to
Right.
do anything for her. So I kept saying no, but I had been dating this guy. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. And the first video that we did was Still the Night.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
One of my
And then,
favorite songs today.
and then Marty and I just had an amazing relationship after that one video, and I did the next 5 videos with him. It was like Geffen and those guys didn't even have a say in it anymore. It was like Marty was like, "No, she's the girl." So I apologize to whoever the girl was that was supposed to be in that video. I'm really sorry that I took your place. I'm sorry I took your job away from you. I didn't mean to. It was Marty Collner's fault. Don't get mad at me.
Well, I think it turned out the way it was supposed to turn out.
Yeah,
I guess so.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of young men became men on time?
Wonder where I've heard that before.
Right? Maybe right before the show. All right. So if you had do-overs on anything in your past, what would it be?
Oh, I would say my relationship with my second ex-husband, the baseball player, Chuck. I think I would have, I mean, you think rock stars make a lot of money. Baseball players make a lot of money.
Right.
And I think when you are just, I was so young. I've always been around. Like David, when I met him, he was $2 million in debt to Geffen and didn't know if the album was going to make a penny.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, after the videos came out and they started selling and the money just started pouring in, going from, almost, nothing. I just found out recently that David was staying at the Mondrian Hotel in LA. I thought he had been paying his bill. I just found out recently that the only reason he was staying there is because the manager and him were friends and he let him stay. Other than that, he would have been homeless.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, this album, these video is what put him, changed the trajectory of his life completely. So I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just, so money, lots of money. I think sometimes you can take things for granted, and I think I took my relationship with my ex-husband for granted, which he'd probably be happy to hear me say, finally admit. But I did. And I say that only because I know that there are young girls out there that are listening to me. And I want them to hear me say, I made a mistake, and this is a mistake that I made. And I don't want you to do the same thing that I did. So am I going to hide all my blemishes and hide all my scars? What for? Then what did I go through them for? Right? So what's a do-over? I would do that over. I would definitely do that over. And I would say to anybody in a really great relationship, man or woman, to not take it for granted.
Amen. Amen. All right, we've got another one. Somebody wants to hear some Ratt bus stories. Do you have any Ratt bus stories?
Some what stories?
Ratt in the bus stories, on the road stories.
I never toured with Ratt on the road.
No?
I unfortunately toured with Van Halen for 3.5 years on the road. I was being facetious. How many people get to do that?
Do you get pretty crazy?
You know what? It didn't because, Eddie, nobody did drugs. I mean, I don't want to call one person out that we all may know was doing something back then. Yes, exactly.
Right.
I don't necessarily want to call him out, but the rest of the guys, there were a couple that were doing that, but some of them weren't doing it as bad as others. And so nothing ever got out of control. So it wasn't crazy. And Michael Anthony, he's like the sweetest, nicest home guy. He's just his girlfriend who turned into his wife. I mean, he's not a rock star. He's just a regular guy. And Eddie's just a regular guy. And so the only crazy one on the bus was Dave. And so he never used the bus to get out of control. The only thing that Dave did on the bus that used to drive me crazy, it used to drive me insane, was he had control over what everybody was going to listen to.
Oh, no.
He constantly had control over, it was just a known fact. And what he loved to listen to, you'd never guess in a million years. If I put $1 billion on the line, you would never be able to guess.
Opera.
Guess, Matt. Yeah, I'm going to
Opera.
say show tunes.
I'm happy with that. Ready?
Yes.
Slim Whitman.
On purpose?
On purpose. On purpose. Do you know who Slim Whitman is?
I absolutely do.
The guy with the little flute thing? It was like, Dave, are you kidding me? That was his go-to. And it was like, Pete, please tell Dave to stop with the Slim Whitman. It's driving us insane.
How does an hungry nose lead to Slim Whitman is what I want to know.
I have no idea. I have no idea. You know, and plus, besides, I didn't do it. David was very respectful and never did it around me. Pete and I didn't do it, so he didn't partake. Dave lived with us too. Dave lived with us for years. He slept on our couch.
Look at that face.
Wow.
He slept on your couch?
He slept on, yeah, he lived on our couch.
Come on. Dave, get your own place, brother.
I'd walk out and there'd be a girl in my living room and I'd be like, Dave, I think it's time for you to move out. You know,
come on, boy, you've grown up. Whatever happened to Pete?
Well, okay, so I get an agent. I was modeling at the time. I become a model because traveling on the road is a lot of fun for a while, and then it becomes like it's the same. It's so repetitive. It's the same thing. Everybody thinks it's so glamorous. It's the same thing over and over and over every single night. So I went home and I got an agent and I started modeling. And then I got an acting agent, and my first interview that I went out on, I landed. And it was a movie that they handed me a lot of my own money and passport. And it shot in Africa, the Philippines, the south of France, and in Paris.
Wow.
And Pete said, if you take that job, he said, it's either me or the movie. And I said, adios.
Wow. Right.
So I
do my
broke
own
up
thing,
with
make
Pete.
my own money.
Is he still around? You still keep in contact with him?
So I finished the movie. I finished Gwendolyn. Day I land, I screen test for Bachelor Party. I get Bachelor Party. I'm living in these apartments in Los Angeles. There's a knock on my door. I open it up. Are you Tawny Kitaen? Yes, I'm Tawny Kitaen. You've been served. I'm like, who's suing me? I open it up, and it's from Pete Angelus's attorneys. Pete now wants 10% of everything that I've made as a model and an actress because he took the pictures of me that I took to the agent to get signed. And he was so pissed that I left him to do the movie that when I came back to the States, he hired an attorney to sue me for 10% of everything I've made.
Wow.
That's scumdog.
And then I finally got
anywhere.
From a girlfriend of mine that knew him, and I met him for dinner. And I said, dude, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm sorry. I was just trying to scare you. And I said, you went through all of that? You went to an attorney's office? You had them get these papers? You paid an attorney just to scare me? But that was Pete Angelus. He's a crazy guy.
Wow.
That's crazy. Crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, by the way, Jack Russell said to say hello. You know Jack.
Hi, Jack Russell.
Yeah, I'll let him know that you said hello. He told me, he goes, "Oh, say hi to Tawny for me." I go, "I
Yeah.
will.
Tell him I said, hey.
I will."
Right. So apparently, a lot of people are commenting in here. Sarah says, "I dressed up as you from Witchboard character for Halloween for most of my teenage years."
Oh, Sarah, thank you so much. Did
Right.
you ask her if she dressed up as the sweet innocent? Um, what was Linda or the one when I had the axe?
All right, Sarah, you got to answer down here. I'm hoping
Yes,
with the axe.
sir. I need to
Yeah,
know.
right. Let me
You got to
see.
know which one it is. Got to be the axe. Come on, Sarah, answer
Yeah,
us.
put money
All
on the
right. I'm putting money on the X too.
yeah.
You know, a lot of people in here are asking inappropriate questions like who was the best lover, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to answer those,
I'm
guys.
so. Say that again. What's the inappropriate question?
Who was the best lover?
God, it is
Don't
inappropriate.
answer that. No, no,
There's no
no.
way I'm going to answer that. Only
Right?
not for my sake, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Right, exactly.
Well, because then you'd have to say who the worst lover would be.
Right.
Wait, Robbie,
Shoot.
repeat. I didn't hear what Drake said.
I
He said
said
then
who
you
the
would have to
best.
say who the worst one was. He was just making a joke, but yeah.
All right. So she said she was wearing the axe.
Oh,
Ooh.
good
Bing, bang,
girl.
boom. We've
Good
won the
girl.
money. All right. So, what was it like being the bride to be to Tom Hanks in Bachelor Party?
Um, it was, I think because he's such a megastar, people find this answer hard to believe, but it was just like a normal job. It was just, I mean, yes, we worked 17 hours a day, but it was just, it was great. It was really kick back. It was a fun movie to make while we were shooting it because it was so crazy. But when we weren't shooting it, Tom, I think people would find this hard to believe, or maybe not because of the way that he's gone with his career. He would sit in his trailer and just read Time magazine all day long.
Oh,
That's what
wow.
he was doing. So he was ramping up for these very serious movies that he's been doing lately.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time magazine.
Time
He
magazine. Getting real
he's a
heavy
very
on us real early in his career.
he's a very intellectual human being,
He
and
sure
it's
is.
absolutely.
He sure.
All right. So Joseph Lane says he loved seeing you on Seinfeld.
Oh, I had so much fun doing that show. Thank you,
Did you?
Joseph. Thank you, Joseph Lane. Joseph
That's
P.
cool.
Lane. Yeah,
Joseph
that
P.
was
Lane.
say that again, Drake.
No, I was just saying he loved seeing you on Seinfeld. I don't think I caught that episode.
It was called The Nose Job.
Really?
Yeah, it was called The Nose Job. And I
All right.
played a girl that Jerry's character wanted to sleep with so bad. But I played an actress. I played a really bad actress. Um, and I made him read my scripts with me. And so I'm a good actress playing a bad actress, which is really difficult to play because you have to try to be a bad actress while being a good actress at the same time.
Right.
So I would read. So I decided to do it in a Southern accent so that it would help me with my character, and it just grossed him out. And so he had a chess set. It was a great episode. So there was a chess set game going behind us of his male anatomy and his brain, and they were playing chess to see who was going to win. And it was Jerry dressed up in the brain costume and in the male anatomy costume.
Right.
And the male anatomy checkmated, and obviously won. And
But of course.
yeah. It was a really interesting. It was a cute episode.
The cast were all pretty cool and everything. Fun to work with.
Oh, they were so wonderful. So wonderful. I just did an interview about that episode, and I found out it was the fourth episode, the fourth season, fifth episode. And I was the first attractive girl that they had on the show, and from me forward, that's when they decided to start having really pretty girls on the show.
Nice.
I mean, and this was the people who like studied the show, and their podcast was on Seinfeld, and so they just told me this information that from that episode forward, that's when the network decided that every episode they were going to start having an attractive girl on every episode. I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's an honor, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know what to do with me, but it was interesting to know that. But everybody was so nice, and when it wasn't their scenes, they weren't on the set, and all my scenes were with Jerry, so I was with him all the time. All the time.
How cool. Good guy.
Kim Baxter has a question. It's kind of long here, but let me read it. It says, how did you find your inner strength and self-love to pull together with everything that you've been through? Said it's one of the toughest journeys for a woman to pull yourself out while circling the drain. She says she's been there, of course, not the same, but not that she's circling anymore, but she really curious to know what gave you the ability to get through, some of the tough times. What was it?
I'm wondering if she's talking about, I don't know, like at what point
Yeah, good question, I guess.
I'm going to take that as a general question because I don't know at what point she's talking about.
Yeah.
But I think it's your friends and your family that you've got to hang on to, that you've got to keep close. And I think going back to my divorce with my ex-husband, who were really, he just, as a matter of fact, so sweet. I texted him yesterday and I said, I don't feel like driving to Michael's, and I don't want to go in with the masks and the whole thing. So would you mind going to Michael's arts and craft store? And I emailed him all these pictures of all these different things that I wanted. I wake up this morning, he shoots me a little text, and he says, check your out in front of your, in your courtyard. I go out there, everything in the pictures are out in my front door. We have been divorced now for 15 years. And that is how our relationship is today. So if I can talk about circling the drain with my divorce, which that's what it felt like, I can use that analogy there. I hung on, and I just knew that things were going to get better, because they do. They're never as bad as what you're going through, and it will get better. It will get better, but you've got to put in the footwork. You've got to put in the work to make it get better. And that's, look at your part. What did you do in this situation? So on and so forth. And then 15 years later, we went through this horrible divorce. 15 years later, I wake up and there's my courtyard is full with all this art supply from my ex-husband. I mean, I didn't say husband. I put X in front of it. He doesn't have to do anything for me.
Right.
But that's because I handled myself like a lady. I didn't go after him. I kept my mouth. I knew when to keep my mouth shut, when to talk, when not to. And I just, I did what was right for me and what felt good, and that's always the right thing to do, because if you're in tune with yourself and whatever higher power or God or I'm Jewish, whatever it is, you're going to, the right answer is going to come, and you know what's right and what's wrong. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. We got a question here. Where did the nickname Tawny come from?
I was 12 years old, and I lived in Huntington Beach, surfer town, USA. And parents got divorced, moved to El Cajon, which is in really not the greatest place in the world. We went on welfare, food stamps, powdered milk, powdered eggs, and all that. And life had completely changed for me. So it was my first day of school, to a new school with a bunch of kids that I didn't know. And as I was on my way walking, there were two boys in front of me, and one boy yelled to the other, "Hey, Tawny." And I went, I like that. I like that name. So when I got to my school, and this was pre 9/11, so you could do this kind of thing, I just told the teacher that my name was Tawny. And she said, okay. And I've never legally changed it. It's on my driver's license. It's on my social security number. It's legally my name, and I never legally changed it. But because it was during a time where you could just walk up to the DMV and go, yeah, my name's Tawny Kitaen. They just go, they don't go, do you have any ID? They're like, great, Tawny Kitaen.
Right.
And so that's how I became Tawny. I didn't want to be me anymore. I needed something to I don't know, to change my surroundings, to get away from, to stop me from remembering my great life that I had when I was in Huntington Beach being that surfer girl, and it worked. And then it just stuck. It just stuck. So I was 12.
Wow.
I was 12.
Wow. So everything was really good right up to you had to move then, and it changed pretty dramatically then. I mean, going to powdered milk. I remember I grew up, not rich. We had to drink powdered milk, and I hated that stuff.
Wasn't that the worst?
Government
And you get lumps.
Yep, you get lumps. You're trying to stir that up, and you can't. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know what powdered milk is,
Right.
Or yellow brand. When I say yellow brand, they're like, what are you talking about? Because I go, that's real yellow brand. What do you mean? I go, generic. You never seen generic, the yellow brand.
Right.
Stuff. You probably know what the generic is. A lot of people like Matt probably don't know. It was before his time. No.
Right.
But the yellow brand was a big thing too.
Exactly. Yeah,
before my time, huh?
Before your time.
I'm just messing with you.
All right. So Sarah says she works in El Cajon and it hasn't changed much.
Who said that?
Sarah McNamara says she works in El Cajon and it has not changed much.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Was that, I couldn't hear. If that was a question, I couldn't hear it.
No, it was a comment. Sarah was saying that she works in El Cajon and it hasn't changed much from.
Oh, she lives in El Cajon right now, and it hasn't
works
changed?
there. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's still. She's basically saying it's still the same. Whatever. I guess not real.
Oh, Erica,
real nice.
You know what? Listen, look at me. I got out. So I'm telling you, there is hope. There is hope that you can get out too. Because El Cajon is like, I mean, listen, there are amazing, wonderful people like Jennifer in El Cajon right now. And I hate saying what I said about El Cajon, but it's I don't really know. I don't really know what to say, how to frame it. It's a little dangerous. Like I wouldn't let my kids out at night kind of thing. And I just, I don't know. All I knew was welfare apartments and welfare everything. And that was like where a lot of bad stuff happened. So
right.
That's my take.
No, isn't El Cajon where you met Robin though? Isn't it? Was it there?
No, as soon
Oh,
as
it
I
wasn't.
left El Cajon and I moved to Pacific Beach.
Oh, Pacific Beach. Okay.
Yeah, PB and La Jolla, they were rival high schools. So we were in rival schools.
Oh. So that dance when you guys met, he was from a different school.
No, I was from a different school.
Well, okay, you were from a different school. Okay.
I went to the so PB, we're like the El Cajon of the beach area. Like La Jolla was like where all the rich kids lived. So me and my girlfriend heard that La Jolla High was having a dance. So we were like, okay, PB, we're just, surfers, not doing much, just lazy. Those kids over there, they had it made in La Jolla. So we got dressed up and we went over to their side of town. So I met Rob over because he came from money. Rob came. Yeah,
Oh,
his
really?
parents were very well off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I know.
So, because in the end, he didn't have any money in the end. I mean,
no,
he was.
no,
Wow.
it's well, I mean, listen, I don't think he felt that he was going to live long anyway. So, what did he need with anything? When he got sick, he got sick and he got so big that they couldn't even keep him at Cedars-Sinai anymore. He weighed about 600 pounds.
Oh my God, no kidding.
Yeah. So they moved him to an old folks home on Fairfax or La Brea in LA. And, he would say, please bring me that peppermint schnapps that I told you earlier that I would bring him. And the nurses were like, I hope you didn't bring him any alcohol.
Yeah. What difference would it make at that point?
That was my, he was the love of my life, always will be. And I was not going to bring him peppermint schnapps. The man was dying. What difference?
Give him some peppermint schnapps. Come on.
Give the man some peppermint schnapps, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
And on a lighter note, what city or state or home is Tawny now in, and what do you like most about it? Lisa, that's a good question. I am in California. I am in Orange County, and I am in a beach city near exactly Tammy. What was she saying exactly to?
I don't know. They're just kind of scrolling up the screen here.
Hi, Lisa. And so yeah, I'm right next to Huntington Beach, actually.
Nice.
I'm in a surfer town.
Very nice. 600 pounds. Did I hear that right? Cheryl says
600 pounds.
He had he contracted AIDS, and they don't know if it was from a needle or from, and I hesitate to tell the story, but if it stops somebody else from shooting up, then I'm going to tell the story.
Yeah.
He got AIDS, and instead of getting really small and getting really skinny, he got extremely, extremely big. His David's on my wall. Karen. He got to between 600 and 700 pounds.
Wow.
And yeah. How horrible is that?
Wow.
Yeah.
But he was a tall guy. I mean, he was tall, but still 600-700 pounds.
Yeah.
6'4"?
He was 6'4".
Yeah.
I mean, and then my baseball husband, he was 6'7". So
wow.
I like him tall.
Yeah. That's tall.
Strike three, Robbie.
I'm married, man. Don't worry about me. Worry about yourself.
Strike three, Robbie.
Oh, Nancy.
So I've seen a lot of people in here, Tawny, say that your life needs to be transposed into a book.
That's very, very sweet, very kind. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when it's your life, you know, I was talking to a girlfriend about this the other day. I said to her, you know, when it's your life, you don't look at it like that. You're just like, oh well, that's what I did. That's how I lived it. Those were the people that were my friends. That I was their friend. Um, and then you sit back and you take a deeper look at it and you go, you know what? That was some crazy to be on a beach somewhere in the Caribbean and have David Lee Roth come up and go, you know, demand your bikini right off of you for, you know, I mean, it was like a bidding war and I won. I could have gotten $10,000 out of him if I wanted to, but being a friend, I let it go for $2,000.
Yeah, you know.
That's a pretty good friend.
I'm a good friend. But thank you. I thank you guys for saying that about it being a book. Or I feel like if I wrote it, there's so many there would be a 3-parter, and I'm afraid that the publisher is going to go, Tawny, you're really not that interesting. We can get it all into just 300 pages. You'll be fine.
Oh, I don't see that happening at all.
So Blair says he's read the books from Bobby Brown and Carrie Stevens, and he would definitely get your book. And there was another comment down here from Kim. She says she chatted with Adrian last night, and he wanted to make sure that she said hi from her. Hello, Adrian Vandenberg.
Oh, Adrian is one of my favorite guys in the entire world. She chatted with him.
Yeah, she keeps in touch with him. She talks with him.
Oh my God! Will you please give that big flying? What do we call him? The Flying Dutchman. Please give that Flying Dutchman a big hug and kiss from me. I love Adrian so much. I have a really funny, cute story about Adrian, if you don't mind me.
Yeah, tell us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So Adrian, in another tall, gorgeous hunk. We were, Adrian's like 6'5", 6'4", 6'5". He was like Roth. So we're in Ashkenazi. That's what I am. Osaka. Sorry, I was getting my heritage mixed up with my cities in Japan. We were in Osaka, Japan, and I'm walking. I'm in the lobby, and I'm walking. I'm waiting for the elevator, and the door opens up, and there's this big, tall guy with his hair up like this, with a baseball hat on, and I'm like, and all the other guys are like, 5'2", 5'4", and then there's Adrian, and I'm like, I go, Adrian, who do you think you're hiding from? Like, why is your hair up in a baseball hat? Like, anybody who knows you is going to recognize you. You're not fooling anybody. But it was so cute that he thought, all I have to do is put my hair up in this baseball hat and I'll get away with it. While he's 18 inches taller than any other guy walking the earth in Japan. It was hilarious. But it just shows you he's such a sweet, gentle soul, and so doesn't think. I'm so lucky, the rock stars that I've been around. I've met some really rock stars, and then you get guys like Adrian that are just the sweetest. The Michael Anthony's of the world that we were talking about, the Eddie Van Halen's of the world, that are, that it's a job and they just happen to be phenomenal at what they do.
Yep.
Right.
No egos.
Who would you choose to play you if you wrote a book and it was made into a movie?
Oh my goodness. That's a good question. You know what? I'm going to have to circle back on that one. I don't know. Anybody have any? Bora Bora is my favorite place, by the way. Anybody have any suggestions?
I don't know who could pull it off.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody in today's, I don't know enough people, younger generation to go, oh, that person kind of could pull it off. And I don't know.
Sarah says Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts?
Yeah, I don't see that.
Oh, I mean,
we're about the same. I mean,
yeah, so that doesn't make sense. You want to find somebody that's probably about 20, or you got to play the young one and the different ages.
Right.
No.
Young. So they say just play yourself. You can pull it off.
There was somebody asking here how. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. There's somebody in here asking how tall you are because you like the tall guys. So he's like,
7.
What's
5'7".
5'7".
Taller than you, Matt. You're looking down at Matt because this guy's asking because he says he's 6'1". just in case you're wondering.
He just made it. He just
made the cut there.
Just made the cut.
Joseph's like, yes.
Move over to the line over to the left.
Yes.
He just made the cut. What's
your favorite
band? That's a good question. Metal? I'm not really like heavy metal. Iron Maiden, that type of metal isn't my kind of metal at all. I can't go there. My metal, as far as metal is like Judas Priest and AC/DC. Scorpions. That's as metal as I'm gonna get. But I think the Scorps and Judas and Def Leppard. And he was the only one that when I was with David, we did a show with them. And what's the lead singer's name in Def Leppard?
Joe Elliott.
Joe Elliott. Joe, I am so sorry. By the way, are you married? I was with David and I was just melting when I saw him. He is one handsome, good looking. Well, I don't know what he looks like now, but I had to just keep myself really calm. I'm with David. I'm married. He was the only rock star that, other than any of my boyfriends, that I was just like, oh my God, he's so gorgeous. I had a big crush on Joe Elliott.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
So would that be your only
Scorpions
crush?
rock. Belinda, you are absolutely right. Scorps rock.
Right on. So here you go. Let's see. We got all kinds of Joe Elliott, good looking, great guy, good guy. Supposedly we're supposed to be having him on the show at some point. Aren't we here, Robbie?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah. So hopefully we're working with his gal Judy Best over at Best Bet Promotions, and she's pushing us.
I'm now talking about your future daddy. Hang on a second.
Oh, we might have to have you on as a special guest. Hi.
So we have a girl who's calling in who'd like to say hi.
Right, there he is.
Oh my God! Look at how cute he is.
And then if you make sure you do your mascara really good that day. Make sure
my nose is completely running. Exactly. Hi, Joe.
I'm just toying with you.
Right on, man.
RJ's asking your favorite bar, probably because he wants to go see if he can run into you. What's your favorite bar? I live in the area.
Does he really live in the area?
No, well, no, I'm kidding. He lives in Catalina.
Oh, he lives.
He's 3 generations of Catalina. That's like, pretty amazing when you think about him. He's the 3rd generation, but he's got He doesn't have kids, but his brother's got kids, and they have kids. So there's just like 5 generations that have been on that island. So if you ever go to Catalina, you talk to him, he'll hook you up with and everything you need to know.
Can you believe, born and raised Southern California girl, I can see the beach, I can see the ocean from my house. I can see Catalina. I've never been to Catalina.
Oh man, you gotta go. You gotta go. The first time I went was because of him. Used to go over there, and it's pretty cool. If you bring your significant other, you'll have a great time, or go with your kids. I mean, it's really super cool, very romantic, but it's just really cool, like quaint little town. And
don't they drive around on golf carts there?
They sure do. That's the cool thing, is have your golf cart decked out better than the next guy.
Oh, that's neat. That sounds cool.
It's pretty cool.
Wait, Tammy's like, no, laugh out loud. It's so boring there. Amy, I would agree with you. Why do you think I've never been? Because I think it's got to be boring as all get out. And Catalina and Amy totally agreed with me, and I didn't even say it. She said it. I was like, you read my mind, girl.
Oh, no.
Kim's like, I'll come with you. All right, Kim. All right. Maybe we'll give it
It's a great little getaway. And sometimes you'll have, like, Spencer Davis used to live over there. I don't know if you know Spencer, 60s guy. And we played with them. I played with him over there, even with RJ, too, as a matter of fact. And there's a Descanso Beach. They'll put bands up there. Or there was a little nightclub on there where you could go and play music or go listen to music or whatever. It's pretty cool.
You know,
it's more laid back.
Yeah.
But it's a good time. I mean, there's a lot to do. There's stuff you could go scuba diving or go on little tours, or there's all kinds of stuff. The island is big. It's really big. It's just the town is small.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The island's like 13 miles by 26 or something. I mean, it's bigger than Manhattan Beach. I mean, Manhattan, New York.
Mm.
See, I agree with Roth. I think she needs to come out to Texas and visit with us.
You know, where I would love to. I love Texas. Where in Texas are you guys?
I'm in San Angelo, West Texas.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing all right. We had the Snowzilla come in and lost water and power for a few weeks here in some places, but
yeah.
We're a community and we take care of each other, and we kind of have that, you know, the old don't with Texas kind of attitude, and
yeah,
we made it through. We made it through. And Rafa's over in San Antonio apparently, so he's about 2 hours away.
Yeah, it's really tough when you're sitting in California and you're like going to like post something on Instagram and it's like, oh, California, it's 72 outside and the sun is shining and there's not a cloud in the sky. It's another, and then you remember what's going on in other parts of the world and you're like, delete, because you have to be so, you know, I don't know, at least I feel like I've got to be really sensitive about what's going on with the rest of the world. And it's not just, you know, me living in California and the best weather in the world. You know, you got to be really, really careful because there's so many places that are suffering. And just living out here in California, watching the news and seeing you guys, seeing everybody going through these terrible last couple of weeks, I've just felt just so bad. I'm really sorry. I'm just so sorry.
Yeah. It got pretty ugly there for a while. What made it even worse was that like 2 weeks prior to the storm, somebody had unintentionally poisoned our domestic water stream.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
Like 9 potentially fatal chemicals found in our drinking water, and Aaron Brockovich has gotten involved. And so right when they got the water turned back on, we lost it all because of the storm and everything froze. So, you know, it was trying to find friends who had running water so you could take showers and those kinds of things. We became a third world country very quickly in West Texas.
Well,
so.
And somebody just put up on the screen there, one of your fans just put up that today, all your COVID restrictions. Yeah, Brian just put up that all the COVID restrictions got lifted in Texas, which I heard about. And
March 9th.
I mean, I know we're not political here or anything, but that's got to be like, that would so not happen here in California.
Yeah, March 9th, they've ended the mask mandate,
Wow.
and restaurants and things can go back to 100%. Venues can open back up.
Wow.
Um,
Wait,
we can start
wait.
doing
You
concerts.
you guys don't have to wear masks anymore?
Not after March 9th. It's no longer a mandate,
Wow.
Okay,
right?
that blows me away.
It's
That
a
blows
it's a little
me
bizarre.
away.
I don't know if it's jumping the gun or if it's just getting things to where it needs to be. So I have to kind of take the middle of the line being in media. So,
Yeah.
but in my words, it's about damn time.
Say
Well,
that
then it's
again.
good because you can start throwing concerts again.
That means I can start putting concerts back on the stage, and we are already. I've been in the planning mode with several. Obviously, trying to get Tesla to get on the stage here, and JRG Dub once again, and talking to some other people, and because that's the passion, man. That's why I do what I do is promoting
Right.
those concerts. So we need to get you out here, Tawny, to make an appearance at one of those concerts.
Have me. I didn't hear the end of that, but um, yeah. I mean, one of the things that I love to do is I love to MC the big rock concerts and you know the conventions where all the fans get to come and well, I was going to say meet us, but that's not really it. It's I get to meet them. I get to meet the
Yeah,
people that follow me, and that's really, really cool. Because I see there are so many people that I see over and over and over again, and they are loyal, and they are there, and they're for every tweet or every Instagram post. I will see the same, you know, um, of course, I see different people all the time too, but I see my regulars and I'm like, you know what? That is so cool. That's so cool. These people are there no matter what. And
right.
I just, and if you guys think that, I posted this the other day because I had posted something about my first ex-husband because something that he recently did and said. Um, and I cussed, and I don't cuss on my social media because there are other people's children that could be looking at my page,
Right,
and most
right,
importantly, I don't. That's not the example that I want to set for my own girls.
right.
So I went on my Instagram story, and uh, a girl had sent me a message, and she said, "Tawny, your story, your message was great. Just change the first part of it." And then I went on my Instagram story and said, "If you guys think that you're just sending these messages to me and I don't listen to you, you're wrong. I take
Right.
everything that you say into consideration. I listen to you, and your word really means something to me. So I appreciate everybody that follows me. I really do."
That's cool. You don't get a lot of genuine feedback from the actual name behind the Twitter account or the Instagram account or whatever. We all know how it works. We know that they're made aware of certain things, but it's generally somebody else speaking for them. So that's cool that you actually do that.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah. I'm lucky. I went live the other night for fun, and some guy decided to throw an F and a U at me for some reason.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, some guy. So a couple of my peeps, as I call them, scream grabbed him, who it was, and sent me the picture, and I blocked him. But I didn't have the chance. I was talking and I was communicating with everybody, so I couldn't. So they protect me. So it was really cool.
That's cool. It's like a
You have
family.
this story about Paul Stanley or Gene Simmons? Yeah,
Yeah.
One that you're going to tell here.
I have a Gene Simmons story. I have a Paul Stanley story too.
Let's hear
Um,
it.
well, Paul, I know Donald Trump.
Okay.
I went to
Good.
his wedding. I was used to be good friends with him, and so my daughter and Tiffany were little best friends growing up, and so was Paul Stanley and his daughter. So Paul and I would run into each other leaving the Trumps' house all the time, and we're like, "Hey, Paul. Hey, Tawny. What are you doing here?" "Well, I'm here to hang out with Tiffany." Tiffany. Same here. So I thought that was pretty funny. Years later,
Wow.
to see Tiffany all grown up and hanging out at the White House was. I mean, on my Instagram, you can go and see pictures. I have pictures of Winter and Tiffany as little kids in the bathtub.
Cool.
Just cute. Lord knows I don't agree with her father's politics anymore, but that's a whole different story. So Paul is just a nice, regular guy. And then there's Gene. And I was waiting for David at a session, and I was picking him up. And Gene sees me, and he knocks on my window and is like, "Roll the window down." I'm waiting for my fiance, and Gene leans in, puts his arms in, and he's like, "Hey, what up, girl? What up?" And I'm like, "Gene," like he was totally flirting with me. He would flirt with a house rat. I mean, Gene would flirt with anybody, but I'm like, Gene, like seriously, like David's in there. I'm sitting here in my car. You don't have to try and kiss me on the middle of La Cienega. I mean, he is exactly who he pretends to be. Gene is Gene. Gene does not pretend to be anything other than who Gene is. He really is that character. He's a crazy guy. I love Gene though.
Right. Has he ever tried kissing you, Robbie?
What's that?
Has he ever tried kissing you, Robbie?
He
Has
didn't.
Gene
I don't think he goes that way.
You?
He's asking
Here,
if Gene tried to kiss me. I go, no, I don't think he goes that way. And neither do I.
Hey girl, come here, give me a kiss. That's what he said. Hey girl, come here, give me a kiss.
Better
Back
make
up,
it fast, or else I'm gonna get pissed.
Wow. People are just, I mean, they're going crazy over you. Obviously, you've had a storied career. What do you got coming up? Do you have anything in the works, Tony?
A book. A book, and I have some jobs that I had been offered a couple jobs right now that I wish I could discuss, because this would be a great place to talk about them, which I already discussed with you guys earlier before we started this conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
But I can't really talk about it until the ink is dried. As you guys know, you're in this business.
Absolutely.
But right now, it's just playing around on my Instagram stories, going live, posting pictures. I mean, listen, everything's closed down. At least maybe there's going to be some conventions opened up in Texas, but
Right.
we were doing. I was hosting, like we talked about, hosting rock concerts or being emceeing them, and so a lot of my work has been shut down due to COVID.
Yeah.
So not much.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
Yeah, but some things that as soon as the ink's dry, I'll be the first one on Instagram screaming about it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That
Hell
Todd
yes.
loves you so much. Yes, Andre, he does. He does, because I rescued him. He was beaten by a male that owned him with a baseball bat.
Oh.
And
That's not cool,
his name was Nigel. And so I just thought, you know what, if I change his name, maybe he won't think about those stories that won't remind him. So that's why I named him Steve. but I
That's
saved
cool.
him, and I think that's why he loves me so much, only because I saved him.
That's awesome. We've got a
Yeah,
rescue here at our
he
house
just
too. So suggest.
he just,
Yep. We've got a rescue too. Ours is a rescue.
Yeah.
oh, you do? They're
Oh yeah.
amazing.
What's that?
I said they're amazing. They truly, the way they love you is just, I mean, like you hear that and you're like, yeah, sure. Like they're gonna love me any different than any job. Yeah. I've bought, $2,000 dogs before, and I've rescued him for $240 maybe, and he
Right.
loves me more than any expensive little toy, whatever that I've purchased.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
our dog was, I think, probably beaten by a male as well or something because she's been skittish around males. She's starting to get better now,
how long have you
but
had her?
it's been about 4 years. But she's a lot better than she was. But still, if somebody comes to the house and it's a male, she'll be like, "Ah," and she's a
Oh,
pit bull.
oh,
She's
she is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but she's sweet though. She's very sweet, but she's, if she doesn't know you and you're a male, she's probably going to be a little bit sketchy with you. But when it's female, she's always been like, "Oh, okay, you're a girl, you're okay."
yeah. It took him about, I mean, he's still, if a guy comes, to the door or whatever, he'll still like be like that, but he calms down quicker.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I would say it took him a good solid 2 years to yeah. It's going to take a while. I
Yeah.
mean, for me, I don't know if I could get over it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that my dog barks and somebody comes to the door, she's it's like that's what, it's kind of her job.
Yeah.
But once
Right.
they come in the house and it's like, okay, they're with us, you got to kind of calm down, and she will. But she used to not at all. It would be like, okay, you got to go outside, and she'd just be freaked out. But now she's getting
Right.
better. She
Yeah.
barked at you, right, Matt, when you were here? She barked, I'm
She
sure.
did. I've got a rescue pit at my house too. We call her Daddy's baby because she won't leave my side, but she was definitely beat by a male.
Yeah.
But if I sit down and I say Daddy's baby, she'll jump up on me and she won't leave me alone. But when I walk by her, she still gets skittish. But the first day, Tawny, to tell you, I brought her home. She was almost hit by a cop out on the road. And he just honked his horn and, get out of the way. And he kept on cruising. So it took me about 2 hours to get her coaxed into my vehicle.
Huh.
So
Wow.
I bring her home, and my wife had warned me 100 times we can't have a dog because we have a lake in our backyard with a steep drop off to the water. And she says the dog's just going to walk straight off there. And I said, no, the dog's got common sense. He's not going to just walk off a 6 foot drop. And sure enough, I get, her name is Bella for real. So we get Bella home and put her in the backyard. She walks straight across the backyard and right off the edge.
Oh my
The water.
gosh. Us women are always right. First of all,
Right? I should have said it. But the water was like 40 degrees. It's in the middle of winter. So
you
I
had
jump in. She's sinking. So
Oh,
now
shit.
I'm looking up at my dock and I'm like, there's 4 feet between me and the top of my dock. And I don't have any ladder out. So I kind of push her up on top of the dock. And then I'm standing in this water going, well, how the heck am I going to get out of here? So it was quite the
Oh,
experience.
wow. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Little
My
thing.
8-year-old
Come
boy,
home.
right? My 8-year-old boy had to go find a ladder to get dad out of the lake.
Is that out?
Yeah. I'm like, twice in one day. That's all I've got for you. You're going to have to lay down for a while. No,
Oh my
Wow.
she's a
goodness.
beauty.
Oh
She's
my
a beauty.
goodness. That's great. That
Tony,
was,
oh,
yeah, guys. That was really nice, Matt and Jake. That was fun.
yeah. So,
Oh, love
you
my
know,
dog. Yep.
absolutely.
Well,
So we love you for joining us tonight, man. You've been incredible, incredible. In fact, you've been very gracious by letting us go so long and talk so much, but I definitely would like to have you back once the book starts coming out.
Joe Elliott.
Joe
And
Elliott.
I'll bring you on with Joe. I mean, if Joe says yes, I will definitely bring you on. So we're
Are
talking
you
with his
really?
people
Are
right
you
now.
really going to have him? Do you think?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So Jody Best owns Best Bet Promotions. She's been working with them for 20 years, and it's been something we've talked about numerous times of getting Joe and Rick and Steve and everybody on the show. So I think it'll be a good night for us. So if that happens, I'm going to send you an invite.
That's great. Please do. I will have you know that my little, my Def Leppard, this is how much you know I love them. Whenever I do a TikTok video, they are my go-to band
Cool.
to do the music for any of my TikTok videos.
How
That's
cool
when
is
you
that?
know that's your favorite band, is when you go to them for your TikTok videos.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
That's a
I don't know who I
compliment.
would go to. I don't know who I would go to.
All right, guys. Well, thank you
All
so
right.
much for having me.
Thank
I
you.
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Stay safe, stay warm, and keep
Thank you,
rocking
you
out there in
too.
California, and we'll have you back sometime here soon.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Tawny.
Listen, love to all your fans and all your listeners. And you guys, thanks for putting up with me for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. It was supposed to be less than an hour, but this is what happens. It seems like every week we get going and it just feels like you just don't want to stop. But
It's a love fest. Thanks, Tawny. I appreciate you.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
thank
later.
you. Thank you, Tawny.
See you.
Okay. All right.
All right,
cool.
Tawny Kitaen right here on the Hangout Live. What a fantastic woman, honestly. I got to tell you, man, I mean, I never really expected for her to be as cool as she was. And down to earth and humble. She's had quite the storied career and been the focus of pretty much every male, every female in the 80s and 90s for a while there. I mean, if you didn't know who she was, you lived under a rock. And for her to come and join us tonight and be so sweet and humble and share so much was just fantastic. So
Yeah, it was good. Good night. That's a
that
good
was a
night.
great night. Yeah, absolutely. All
So
right,
you-
Robbie. So
Okay.
we've got some things coming up. We've got some things brewing. In fact, I have to go over all the IT stuff to get us over to the Twitch channel,
Yep.
the Rams channel, and of course that's Rock Against Multiple Sclerosis is the channel we are moving to on Twitch TV, the stream service. We will be keeping our same date, same time, but it will be over there. It will be available here shortly. So for like 3 or 4 weeks, we'll stick with Facebook just to kind of promote the Twitch channel
Transition. Yeah.
and to do the transition so that we can get onto a platform that not only supports us but helps promote us
Yeah.
and helps in the things that they do over there with Rams is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, everything that you can do for multiple sclerosis and the hideous disease that it is, or any other autoimmune diseases out there and stuff that people are fighting. I mean, it's good to get involved and take care of each other. So that's what excites me about it more than anything. So,
Cool.
right.
Right on.
Well, let's do it again next week, right here, same place, same bat channel.
And next week is who's coming on next week?
I
Quick
believe
plug.
we've got Frank Hannon from
We got Frank Hannon from Tesla. Yep.
So stick around, rock out with us next week. We'll see you then. It's Drake.
Robbie
It's
Lochner.
Robbie, and we're out.